Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 2,000 subscribers and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy the content, please hit that subscribe button right now.
All right, faithful, training camp is just days away, and while this front office has already had a genuinely busy offseason, that doesn't mean the work is finished. This organization has a real, documented track record of making significant last-minute moves right before or even during training camp, and some of those moves have paid off in a big way. So today, we're breaking down 3 specific position groups where Niners fans need to keep their eyes wide open, because a move could genuinely be coming. The first area worth watching closely is the offensive line, and honestly, that shouldn't surprise anybody. Right now, it looks like there's a genuine open competition brewing at left guard between a handful of names, including a couple of veteran additions from earlier this offseason and a 7th-round pick from last year's draft class. It's a legitimate test to see whether any of those 3 names can emerge as a truly formidable option lining up next to the star left tackle. And if none of them fully separates themselves, free agency still has real veteran options available on affordable one-year deals who could realistically fill that void and make this offensive line even stronger heading into the season. To be fair, this front office already made real moves to address the offensive line earlier this offseason, adding a couple of notable interior and tackle options. But that doesn't mean the work here has to stop. If there's ever a position group on a roster where you genuinely want more talent competing rather than less, it's offensive line and wide receiver, especially on a team firmly built around a win-now mentality. The star left tackle keeps getting older even while continuing to play at an elite level, which makes continued investment along this line that much more important. There's a real case for bringing in an accomplished, still capable veteran guard on a cheap, low-risk one-year deal, someone who proved last season with a previous team that he can still hold up as a genuinely solid starting caliber option. The second, and probably most talked about position group, is the defensive line. This front office has already made a ton of changes here, with the position essentially becoming a revolving door over the past year due to injuries, new additions, and a notable retirement. But that doesn't mean this front office is necessarily finished adding here either. On the edge specifically, the top 3 current options are all young, still developing talents, genuinely promising. But none of them are proven, established pass rushers in the way a departed veteran was last season. Adding a genuine veteran presence at that spot would make a whole lot of sense. There are a few real names worth tracking here. One veteran pass rusher has been floated repeatedly, though there's real belief he may be leaning toward retirement at this point. And if a reunion of that kind were going to happen, there's a real argument it probably would have happened by now, though it's certainly not impossible still. Then there's the bigger name, a disgruntled star edge rusher whose trade request has been floating around for a while now. Just because that specific trade hasn't happened yet doesn't necessarily mean it's not going to happen eventually. Remember, a similar blockbuster trade sending a star defender back to a contender happened relatively late in the offseason last year too, well after most people had stopped expecting it. That's real recent precedent worth keeping in mind. A trade like that could realistically still happen sometime in August, even this close to the season. Another name worth watching is veteran edge air fronts too. This defensive line already shows real, genuine promise and should represent a meaningful step up from last season regardless, but it never hurts to add one more proven veteran presence to truly get this unit over the top. The third position worth monitoring is running back, and admittedly, this one feels like a slightly less certain bet. But this front office does have a real recent history of adding a veteran running back right before the season begins. Last year specifically, after evaluating that room, they made a notable late offseason trade addition at the position. There's a real case they could make a similarly low-cost move again, either through trade or free agency, specifically to add competition for that 4th running back spot behind the top 2 names currently in that room. That specific veteran addition from last year ended up being somewhat underused and has since moved on to a different roster, which leaves a real gap at that RB2 complementary role this front office has talked about wanting to fill, specifically to help lower the workload on the star running back. Still, there's a reasonable case this front office feels genuinely comfortable with the internal options already in the building. One rookie back looked like a bit of a reach at the time he was drafted, but he's shown real, genuine promise during the early stages of offseason training. Another returning back remains firmly in the mix too, and that competition for the true RB2 role looks like it could be a genuinely good one. There's also a returning back who's dealt with some injury issues this offseason, which has kept his name a little quieter in these conversations lately, but he's still a name worth watching, even if it's not guaranteed he makes the final roster. Between all of those options, there's real solid depth already in the building, which makes an outside addition here feel less urgent than the other two position groups. So, circling back to the biggest overall takeaway, a real defensive line move feels like the most likely outcome of these three areas. Whether that ends up being a blockbuster trade for that disgruntled star edge rusher or a more modest veteran free agent addition remains to be seen, but this would represent exactly the kind of true win-now move that fits everything else this front office has already done this offseason. Adding that caliber of proven difference maker would help keep this roster squarely in pace with the very best teams in the league, including direct rivals within this own division. So there you have it, faithful. Training camp is right around the corner, and this front office almost certainly isn't done making moves yet. Real needs remain at offensive line, defensive line, and to a lesser extent, running back. And this organization has shown time and again it's willing to strike even late into the offseason when the right opportunity presents itself. So let us know down in the comments, what should this front office prioritize? Should they go get another running back? Should they finally pull the trigger on a blockbuster trade for a star edge rusher? Should they focus on the offensive line instead? Or some combination of all three? We want to hear it all. If you enjoyed today's breakdown, make sure you smash that like button, drop your thoughts in the comments, and if you haven't already subscribed, go ahead and join the channel so you don't miss a single update as we track every move heading into training camp. Let's go, Niners. We'll see you in the next one.